Everybody loves Sow Love Garden. Sow Love.
Hey guys, welcome back to Sow Love. It is Saturday, May 1st, and I wanted to give you a couple of updates on what's growing in the garden and just kind of give you a little tour. Hopefully you've got a chance to take a look at some of my earlier videos on just kind of how things have progressed so that way you have a better idea of how much things have kind of changed in the garden. So please do like, share, and subscribe. Please also join me on my Instagram page where you can see more daily updates. And please do leave a comment. Let me know that you found me from my YouTube channel. So let's get started with the tour. All right, so just walking up into the garden. This is the kids' garden, and you can see that I definitely need to mulch it. But you know, I've been harvesting quite a bit off of these beet leaves and chard leaves. There are some beans right along this red trellis here. There's some lima beans and some bell pepper and some hyacinth beans, which you can see the hyacinth bean is coming up right there. I'm really anxious to see how that grows. I've never tried it, but it's a really pretty purple bean. I think the blooms are pink if I'm not mistaken. So we'll see how that goes. There are the carrots that we planted a little while ago. Those are doing pretty good. I actually added a few more seeds just to kind of cover up some of the bare spots and also hopefully be able to take advantage of some of the succession planting in there. So some of the smaller ones are the newer ones that just sprouted. These are zucchini and squash, and guys, there are two little squash blooms on this one. So there's one there and one there. It's interesting because I usually see the male blooms first or open up first. So it's interesting that this is the first year I've gotten some of the female flowers to be some of the first blooms in the garden. So that's pretty cool. Some nasturtium. Pretty much most of the beds are lined with nasturtium or sunflowers. Some have some marigolds. I did decide to cut off the blooms and runners this year, but sometimes some of the strawberries, you know, kind of do get away with me. So I have been saving some of the runners. I've been potting those up, so we'll see how those grow. And then I've decided, actually, I'm going to cut off all the strawberry blooms except for one pot, which I'll show you in a little bit. This is the olive tree that's been potted up into this, I don't know how many gallons it is. I should have read the label before doing this video, but it's at least a 25-gallon pot here. So that's that new home, and I figure I can leave it in the pot and I can move it, you know, into a different place or into the greenhouse on colder nights or into the garage or whatever. So that will be in that pot. Then I guess we can kind of just go down the rows. Right over here are some more carrots that we transplanted. Hopefully you'll see a video soon. There is a collaboration with Ultimate Gardening that video will debut with. And then over here are eggplant, bell pepper. There's some dahlia in here, different flowers, some peas growing along the trellis. The corn is coming along really nicely. And then I put some lettuce right along the edge. And that's, I forgot what variety of lettuce it is, but it's slower to bolt in the heat. And then there are some ground cherries that are coming up there as well. And then I did sow a few seeds which haven't germinated yet, so we'll see how that goes. The peony over here, and some radishes, and some beets, and some turnips and rutabagas over there. Well, not the turnips, I'm sorry, rutabagas are over here. These are a mixture of different radishes, which I thinned out the other day, and then some carrots, which you can see kind of peeking through. So radishes are of course a quick crop. So we'll be harvesting those fairly soon. Then I'll probably transplant or plant up some other things, but I haven't decided what yet. And then if you saw my orchard video, then you already know about the kiwi vine, which I don't know if this is the best spot for it. Like, these leaves up here aren't looking that great, but you can also see there's new growth down here. So I'll do a little bit more research on the kiwi vine just to make sure I didn't mess anything up. But just researching about the kiwi vine, it does like quite a bit of peat moss in the soil. So I would do a little bit more research and see what kind of fertilizers it likes and things like that. But there's the update on the kiwi. And then if you saw the okra video with my husband, all of the okra has come up. So I'm excited to see those here coming up in the garden. I may or may not thin those out. Okra last year I planted fairly close and it did really, really good. So I'll probably leave those. I love this pop of purple and yellow on the fence line. There's a pot of zinnia over there as well, so I'm excited to see those grow as well. But I just love seeing this pop of color here on the fence line. In the middle here, there are some pumpkins, different variety of pumpkins, and then some cabbage in the front. These are, I can't remember what they're called, but the popular variety of cabbage that Oprah grows. So I am excited to see how that goes. I may move those to a more shady spot because it is getting pretty hot here in zone 7B/8A. The romaine lettuce has been doing really good. I've harvested it several times and it's thriving. Like, I shared some with a friend. Hey Randy, if you're watching. I shared some with a coworker friend, and you know, it's doing really good. The the black seed Simpson lettuce, I just love the color on that, but that's doing pretty good. These are bachelor buttons and nasturtium kind of planted together, which are doing pretty good. There's a tomato tucked over there on the side. Just to kind of see how it does with the bachelor buttons. And then this is lime basil. Have you ever tasted lime basil? Like, the taste is amazing. This is my first year growing it. Very excited to see it get big. I have it in a few more spaces throughout the garden. But I definitely recommend adding some lime basil. These are some lettuce seeds I planted. These are beans along the side. And then there's some tomatoes planted here, some different varieties of tomatoes, which I just planted directly or sowed directly into the ground. And you can see those are coming up. So I will, of course, thin those out. Like, there was some really good germination on this Creole tomato. And then not much germination on the atomic grape, but I do have one. So that's exciting. This right behind there is different squash. And I can't remember if there's zucchini in here too, but I know it's definitely a squash, mostly squash. Oh, okay, there is some zucchini in here too. And then some sunflowers, you can see those coming up. And over here was a perennial pea, which maybe I got it in the ground too late, but it has not bloomed. I'm not sure if it will bloom or not. So I may or may not move those and then plant something else in there. Different beans going around the edges. And over here, if you saw that video with me talking about the lemongrass, I went on and plugged those in. There's two more, which I'll point out along the tour. But I'm sure this will get pretty big. But I'm hoping to keep it under control by cutting it down. But it's really good for helping to control mosquitoes. So that's what I plan on using it for. And over here are more beans, and then there's some corn growing in there. You see the nasturtium around the side, and then the chrysanthemum there on the corner. These are, I believe that's a cabbage right up there. And there's a toothache plant that I started from seed right there. That's coming up pretty good. Oh, I just spotted another squash coming in right there. So that is exciting. I have quite a few squash varieties planted this year, just to kind of see what works. Of course, the squash borer is a terrible pest. So I was adamant about trying to get out here early in hopes of, getting some harvest before it got too hot. And then I do plan on doing some succession planting with the squash too. So fingers crossed. I tucked a tomato plant in here with the oca, which the oca is going to take a whole year, around December, November, until I can actually harvest that. So I tucked the tomato plant in there, some nasturtium around the side. And this pot, guys, has not done as well as I thought it would. It looks like it's really dry, but I promise you I water it, a couple times a week. So I may end up taking some of the cosmos out. I don't know if there's just the bad soil mix I have in here. Let's see how. Yeah, it's not that dry down there. Like you can see, it's a darker brown. You can see it's a darker brown as I go down, but it's just not doing good. So I may end up moving some of these things and putting something else here. This chamomile, y'all, I started from seed, and this might be the one that just popped up randomly in a pot. But the ladybugs are loving the chamomile. So chamomile is one that you can add into your garden, and it will attract beneficial predatory insects. So ladybugs, some predator wasps, and things like that. But I've seen the ladybugs just kind of camping out on here, usually in the morning and in the evening. And I'm hoping that they're laying eggs somewhere, so they can be definitely welcome guests in my garden. I'm loving how these radish blooms are looking. This is actually a rat tail radish, there's some more planted in the other areas of the garden. But honestly, y'all, it looks like the rat tail radish is just a radish that has bolted and gone to seed. Because if you've ever tasted a seed pod from a radish, it has the same taste, spiciness as a radish. So this is some of the rat tails forming right here. So I haven't noticed anything necessarily prolific or different about that between a regular radish, but I do like the flowers. So these are different herbs. I came in, kind of popped in a few more seeds, just to kind of have some more herbs in the garden. And then there's some other things that I actually want to add in and try. So we'll see how that goes. These are asparagus mostly, and I'm planning on taking out all the other herbs from this bed and allowing the asparagus just to have it. But I know, this is like this is the first year for these asparagus in this particular bed. They were started from seed last year, so they do need to, some time to mature, because the stalks are very small at this point. So as it gets bigger and demands more space, I do plan on taking things out of this bed and just letting the asparagus have it. So those are green asparagus, and I have some purple asparagus actually tucked in the kids' garden, and then one more place which I can't think of right now. So just moving down the aisle. Actually, let's come back. This is one of the lemon trees that I started from seed. So you can see it's gotten, its new home in this big pot. And these are looking really good. So I don't know. I've heard lemon seeds do produce fruit, and they can grow pretty fast. So I'm excited to see how quickly this will actually produce. So we'll see. We'll keep you posted. These are more herbs back here in this bed. There's some different onions and garlic tucked in as well. And then these guys, onions, are all from table scraps right here. So I've been harvesting the onions and the tops of the garlic just for cooking. I froze some the other day. The oregano is definitely taking over the bed. Which that right there. I'm excited to see this calendula coming in right here, but there's lots of different herbs in this particular bed. I sowed some amaranth in here, which you can see there's one little bitty seed coming up right there. This is my first year growing amaranth, so we'll see how it does. I was excited to see the first blue pea bloom here, which of course it looks more purple, but you know, it was called a blue pea, so we'll give it that name. So I'm very excited to see these coming in. These seemed like a long time to even get to this point, because the seeds were started at the same time as my other seeds, which I'll show you in just a second. So welcome, blue pea. This pea does have some aphids on it, which I've been spraying off just with water, which I don't see as many of them today. I think there was one on the side there. Those two green ones are 2 or 3 actually over there. So I'll come out and spray those off with some water later on today. There are some beets growing in here, which you can see that one starting to head up a little bit, which is fairly small right now. Those have been in the bed for quite some time, but also those are some that I transplanted from my old house. So you know, again, I think some things did go through some transplant shock in terms of getting settled. This was actually shared with me on well, I got it from a Buy Nothing group. So I put my name in to, you know, request to have it. But it's a type of yellow echinacea. So I moved it just yesterday from the original place I put it, so it's gone into a little bit of a weep, but it looked like this when I planted it out, you know, when I first picked it up from the person that gave it to me, and it perked up. So I'll give it a few days to perk up. These are some older carrots sown, so these are the more mature ones, which they're still fairly small, and these we sowed maybe 3 months ago. There's cabbage, there's lettuce, there's a radish, there's walking onion in this bed. There are some melons, I believe, so there's a little bit of everything in this bed. I'm loving the blooms here. I had this in the front garden as well. It's called Glow Orange. You know, so I think it's supposed to be good for attracting pollinators, but I'm loving the little pop of color, so I'm hoping that will be covered very soon. The poppy. I actually didn't know that it was open all the way. This morning I came out and it was just starting to open. Yesterday it still had like a cone shape. So this is my first year growing poppies, and I am completely in love with the poppies. So I'm excited to see, even if it's just this one bloom that I get. There are, looks like, let's see how many plants we have. So I sowed this whole area full of poppy seeds. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7 or 8 plants in there. So this is exciting to see this beautiful bloom pop up here. Marigold planted there. These are black eggplant, different types of eggplant planted here, and there are some blooms on these. So very excited about having eggplant in the garden. These are just the Black Beauty. I think these are a green night eggplant, which is a hybrid. That's a variety that's new to me this year. But there are some other varieties that are new to me as well, planted up in the other garden bed. So those are just coming up. So we'll see how those do. Over here, this is that red raspberry sorrel, which I'm not particularly fond of the taste. It's very bitter. So if y'all grow this in your garden, let me know what you think. Am I doing something wrong? My coworker was asking, well, maybe it's just the taste, but from what I've heard, that is just how the taste is. It is bitter, but some people say it's, they really like the taste. So I don't know, maybe it's my taste buds. Here we have some spinach, some kale that is doing pretty good from the winter. I planted some purple orach right over here that hasn't come up yet. I planted orach in another place in the garden, and I had like 2 to come up, so I'm excited to see that. It's the purple variety. And then there's some chard along here. There are some melon seeds, which you can see are popping up there. There's a squash, or that might be, oh, that's the lemon drop watermelon. So of course those will climb over this trellis. And longevity spinach, there's some peanuts in here, some corn. So if you haven't noticed by now, from me, I like to definitely pack a space, but so far I haven't had issues with things not growing well in a tight space. I just make sure I give them enough nutrition and water and stuff like that, and they do okay. Tromboncino squash is planted along here, and of course that will grow up this trellis. And I think, of course, when you're vertical planting and planning to grow things vertically, you open up so much more space in your garden to grow other things. All right, these are the tomatoes from the video that I planted, or that I did maybe about 3 weeks ago now. So you can see how much these have grown. These are all tomatoes I grew from seed. And then there was a mystery tomato planted in here, which hasn't showed itself yet, in terms of like there's no fruit on any of these yet, no buds, no flowers. But I am coming in later on today, and I'll pinch off the bottom and the suckers of some of these, but I do want these to get more bushy. So right now I'm just pinching off the bottom leaves, because I don't want too many tomato leaves touching the soil. Of course, that will open it up for different diseases. But so this is what I'm doing right here. Just coming in with my finger. Of course, you can use nippers, and just clipping off. Now, of course, if you have areas, let me clip this one off too. Here we go. If you have these suckers growing in, like this right here in the middle is a sucker coming in. So once that actually gets big enough, you can actually pinch that off and pot it in soil, and you can have another tomato plant that you can pop in later on when your older tomatoes start to die out. So again, succession planting does allow you a longer growing season, weather permitting, but definitely be prepared, because you never know, like when some of your plants might be taken out by disease or pests or whatever. So have some other things growing in pots that you can just easily come in and replace later on. Back here are strawberries, which of course, like I said, I've been taking off the fruit from these. The service berry and the aronia berry are doing pretty good. It looks like there's something munching on the leaves of that one and maybe that one too. So I'll come and give those a closer look in a little bit. The lantanas here, there are more strawberries planted along the fence line. And then the pine berry, y'all know those labels messed up, but I believe they're mostly in these pots right here. So far, I'm having luck on 3 of those pots. And then I did plant a few more in some of the vertical towers that I have in the garden space. So I'm very curious to see how those taste. I put some seeds here. This is lettuce. Right here, there's some savory. So I'm planting just different herbs in different spots. Tucked in some chamomile and some marigolds that I started from seed. Along the back are some carrots and some sunflowers. And look how big these tomatoes are getting. So you can see areas where I've come in and cut off the bottom leaves. And then I put in this crazy looking trellis system behind here. So what I do plan on doing is training these to grow up the trellis single vine. So that means, you know, I might come in and do one more cut on this bottom leaf, and then, you know, but these will be bare root or bare stem down here, which will again allow the plant to grow a little bit more healthy, prevent some diseases. And, you know, when you're watering, especially if you're watering by hose, the splashback from the dirt can get on the plant, which can help to cause disease and different things like that. So you definitely want to prune off those bottom stems, you know, so I'll be doing some heavy pruning today. Here's a better example of a sucker right here, this one in the middle. So I can come in and pinch that off. What that also does, taking off the suckers, let me show you because I'm not sure. Here's a sucker right here. So this one going in the middle, you can come in and pull that off. But that will allow the tomato plant also to focus on growing vertically instead of bushy, and also producing fruit and also making the fruit bigger. So I'll be doing some tomato pruning today. But I'm so impressed by the sizes of these different tomato plants coming up here. These are the melons. If you watch the video with me and my kids of us starting these melon, well, we had all starter plants, so we didn't necessarily pop in some seeds on the video, but I did come in and pop in some seeds later on, so that smaller one. But look at the leaves on the moon and stars. So if you're familiar with different watermelon varieties, specifically the moon and stars, it has like yellow spots. It's pretty cool that the leaves, you know, have those spots as well. So that's not a disease. This is another moon and stars variety right here, and a weed. But it has the same yellow spot right there. So very, very cool. Let's see what you are. This is a Kajori melon, tiger melon. So those are like more personal size melons there. I'm trying to do a little bit of weeding as I see it, some little grass. So again, just looking at the tomato plants and happy with what I'm seeing so far. So stay tuned for part 2 of this video. I didn't want this one to be too long, but we've gone about halfway through the garden. So stay tuned for part 2. Please do like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.
Everybody loves Sow Love Garden. Sow Love.